The ball reached Ferran Torres in the 106th minute of the 2026 World Cup final. Regular time had ended 0-0, and the match had moved deep into extra time. Spain had already taken 19 shots against Argentina without finding the net. Torres, introduced from the bench, struck the 20th, and it was the only one that ultimately mattered. Spain won 1-0 and became world champion. And afterward, Torres said something that made millions of people stop. He said, "This is a goal scored by an entire country, not something that belonged to me alone." But here is what most people watching that moment never knew. The Ferran Torres mental health story began long before that night. In 2023, 3 years before the World Cup final, he was in what he described as a bottomless pit, suffering from depression, seeing a psychologist, wondering if the player he used to be would ever come back. Today, we break down exactly what happened in that pit and what it took to climb out of it and score the goal that won the world. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to PsyWealth, Richie. Today, we are covering one of the most perfectly timed and most psychologically extraordinary stories we have ever featured on this channel. Because Ferran Torres' journey from depression to World Cup final winner is not just a comeback story. It is a complete psychology lesson about what happens when you ask for help at your lowest point and what becomes possible when you do. If you are new here, subscribe. Now let's get into it. Ferran Torres was born on February 29, 2000, in Foyos, Valencia, Spain. He came through Valencia's youth academy, one of the best development systems in Spanish football. He moved to Manchester City in 2020, joining the most successful club in England under Pep Guardiola. He scored goals. He contributed. He showed enough that Barcelona paid 60 million euros for him in January 2022, and then something happened that the 60 million euros could not prevent. He lost himself, not all at once, not dramatically, but gradually and completely, in the specific way that elite athletes sometimes lose themselves, when the external expectations become disconnected from the internal experience of performing. He said, "I became more obsessed with scoring goals than playing well. I wanted to be a player that I am not. I didn't care if I had bad games. I just wanted to score." That shift from playing well to only caring about the outcome is where the depression began. Not in the goals missed, in the relationship with himself that the obsession had destroyed. Here is what Ferran Torres said about what he was actually experiencing during that period. He described it as a bottomless pit. He said seeing a psychologist helped him recover his form after he hit rock bottom, following his move from Manchester City. The bottomless pit. Not a bad run of form, not a difficult season. A bottomless pit. The specific psychological experience of descending into a place where the bottom is not visible, where the improvement feels neither possible nor imminent, where getting out requires something more than working harder or trying differently. It requires help. And here is what makes Torres' story so important. He asked for it. In an industry and a culture where asking for psychological help still carries significant stigma, where the dominant narrative around elite athletes is one of toughness and self-sufficiency, Torres said publicly, "I saw a psychologist, and it helped me." That honesty, that willingness to name the bottomless pit and name the thing that helped him climb out of it, is one of the most genuinely courageous acts available to any public figure in professional sport. Here is something about Ferran Torres that most people who only know his difficult Barcelona period never fully appreciated. Underneath the depression and the identity confusion, the real Ferran Torres had a specific psychological quality that his teammates and coaches had always recognized. His nickname is the Shark, and Torres explained that the Shark nickname reflects his mindset, a combination of ambition and competitiveness. His constant desire to improve has been crucial to his development. He said, "It's all about the shark mentality, and I identify with that nickname a lot." The shark, always moving, always hungry, unable to stop. And a Netflix documentary revealed that one of his biggest secrets is working with his therapist, Jose Angel Caperan, who helps him with visualization techniques, self-control, and concentration routines. The shark mentality and therapy, together, not in opposition, not one replacing the other, both necessary. the hunger to keep moving, and the psychological tools to make sure the movement is in the right direction. Here's the specific psychological mechanism I want to examine in Torres's story, because I think it is one of the most common and least discussed. Experiences in elite performance, identity loss under pressure. Torres said, "I became more obsessed with scoring goals than playing well. I wanted to be a player that I am not." That sentence, "I wanted to be a player that I am not," is the psychological definition of identity loss. He stopped playing as Ferran Torres. He started performing as whoever he thought he was supposed to be. The €60 million player, the Barcelona starter, the person who justified the investment, and in trying to be that person, in performing that version of himself rather than simply being himself, the actual qualities that produced the €60 million valuation began to disappear. Because those qualities, the running at defenders, the creativity, the natural goal sense, all lived in the authentic Ferran Torres, not in the performed version, and the therapy helped him understand that, helped him find the thread back to who he actually was. Before the price tag, before the expectations, before the obsession with the outcome replaced the love of the process. And then, in the 106th minute of the 2026 World Cup final, Torres struck the 20th shot of the match, Spain's 20th attempt, the only one that mattered. He became only the second substitute in World Cup history to score a final winning goal following Mario Götze for Germany in 2014. And he said, "This is a goal scored by an entire country, not something that belonged to me alone." That response, that immediate deflection of personal glory toward collective celebration is the psychological signature of someone who has genuinely done the internal work, someone who has been through the bottomless pit and come out the other side not obsessed with personal validation but grateful for the opportunity to contribute to something larger than himself. Some victories happen quietly long before the world sees the final result. The victory in the World Cup final happened in the 106th minute in front of billions of people. But the real victory, the one that made that moment possible, happened in a therapy session in Barcelona 3 years earlier, when Torres asked for help and started finding his way back to himself. And now I want to speak directly to you, because I think Torres' story carries something that most people watching this genuinely need right now. Most of us have experienced some version of the bottomless pit. Not necessarily depression in its clinical form, but the specific experience of losing yourself in a role or an expectation, or an outcome obsession that gradually disconnected you from the person you actually are and the things you actually do well. And in that disconnection, the performance suffers, because the performance was never generated by the performed version of yourself. It was always generated by the real one. Torres said, "I have always been a player that runs at the opposition and creates. I am usually good in front of goal too. But I went through a bad spell, and I did not know how to get out of it." He found the way out through therapy, through the specific, guided professional support of someone who helped him see the pattern he could not see himself. You do not have to be a professional footballer to need that kind of support, and you do not have to be in a bottomless pit to benefit from it. The tools that Torres used, visualization, self-control, concentration routines, identity clarity, are available to everyone, not just athletes. Everyone who is trying to perform at their best in a world that keeps asking them to be someone slightly different from who they actually are. Ask for help, find your way back to yourself, and then score the goal. Ferran Torres was in a bottomless pit in 2023. He saw a psychologist. He found his shark mentality again. He found his way back to the player who runs at defenders and creates and scores. And in the 106th minute of the 2026 World Cup final, he scored the only goal that mattered, and said it belonged to an entire country, not to him alone. His story is a powerful reminder that mental resilience is not about never struggling. It is about continuing to move forward, even when life feels emotionally overwhelming. Resilience means asking for help when it is needed, learning from setbacks, and recognizing that growth often comes from the moments that challenge us the most. Some victories happen quietly, long before the world sees the final result. Subscribe to PsyWealth Richie. Share this with someone who is in their own bottomless pit right now and needs to know that asking for help is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of the comeback. We will see you in the next one.